Not sponsored by them, but I think that if there's anything that you can try and cut in your budget, if you're really lean with your budget, that's a place that you can do it. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Brooke. I'm a 28-year-old remote tech employee, and on this channel, I like to talk about all things personal finances and how we can get better with our finances. So if that's something that you are interested in, please make sure to subscribe and get notified every single time I put up a new video. Today is my February 2025 budget with me and January 2025 closeout. I can't believe it's already that time of the month. It has gone by in a blur. January was such a long and short month at the same time. Here we had snow twice, which is not usual for us. We usually don't get snow that much. I don't think we've had snow for at least I don't think we've had snow since 2022. So that was like 3 years ago since we had our last snow. So that kind of changed a lot of things. We had things that got moved around and stuff because of that. And it was a little bit crazy, but we're here, we're at the end of the month, and I'm so excited to show you how much we spent in January and how much we are going to spend in February. All right, so now let's jump in to my budget spreadsheet. This is a spreadsheet that I use for my personal use, and I don't currently have it available for you all, but I do have a much more simple budget spreadsheet available in the description box. So if you're interested in getting a really easy one that has a couple of formulas for automation, make sure to check out that description box and watch my how to budget video, and that will show you how I created that budget spreadsheet and how you can create your own. But if you want a template, I have one down in my description box. All right, so let's talk about this month. So in January, I didn't know how much money we were going to be making because of the fact that we started contributing more to each of our HSAs. HSA is a health savings account, and it's specifically money that you set aside to pay for health-related expenses. And this year, my husband and I decided that we were going to max out our HSAs. Both of us are on our individual company healthcare plans, so we both have abilities to have individual HSAs and have our employers contribute to those HSAs. So because of that, I knew that we were going to have less income coming in because the HSA would be a little bit bigger than how much we had put in the past. And so that's reflected here in the expected and the actual. We had quite a bit more money coming in than I had originally anticipated, which is really great, because I'll talk about that later, but we had quite a few extra expenses this month that we needed to account for, and it's not technically a budget closeout because we still have to get some groceries tonight, but hopefully that won't put us over our budget. You can see here in the income summary that we actually had $1,000 remaining, which is really great because if you look at some of our budget categories, we definitely went over in some places, and we spent money that I did not account for. I knew that they were coming up, but I didn't account for them in the budget. So I'm glad that we had that extra $1,000. The first section that we're going to look at is our bills. So these are our fixed expenses each month. So we're really lucky that our bills are actually fairly low. We have a really good mortgage rate of 2.99%, so I'm not paying any extra to it right now, and that comes out to $1,070. It'll actually go up in February because last year our taxes went up and our insurance went up, and both of those are rolled into our escrow. So we had a shortage in our escrow account. We had to pay that. Now we have to pay more towards our escrow to cover those insurance and taxes for this year. We also have our Wi-Fi for $70. We have water for $39.73. That fluctuates, but I know the bill each time before we start the new month, so that's good. I started us in budget billing for electric, and so that's about $93, and that's going to be what it is for the rest of the year until the end of December when they will recalculate. But I want to do that to try and make it more simple on me to knowing how much money we spend, because during the spring and fall we spend less on electric, but during the winter and summer we kind of spend a little bit more because we're running our heater or we're running the air condition. So I think that budget billing will help us to balance out how much we spend on electricity over the year. We have our phone bill, $50. That's for both mine and my husband's phone bills. We have the Visible plan, which I really like. It's using the Verizon cell tower, so it's very reliable. And for unlimited everything, it's only $25 a month. So if you're looking for a budget billing phone company and you own your phone, definitely check out Visible. I've been with them for the past 3 years. I really enjoy them. Not sponsored by them, but I think that if there's anything that you can try and cut in your budget, if you're really lean with your budget, that's a place that you can do it. Next, we have our security. That's just our Simply Safe at $31.99. And we had to pay our quarterly pest control, which is $85. We usually just cash flow that in the month that it happens. We don't try and save up for it. Next, we have our expenses. As you can see here, we've got quite a bit of red, and we're going to go a little bit more in the red because we've got to get groceries tonight. And I think I have a couple of bills that are needing to come out of our subscriptions that I have not done. So for our groceries, we went over, but that's okay because we needed to stock up on some things like my shampoo and all that kind of stuff. So that all goes into our groceries household bill. So that's why also groceries have just gotten a little bit more expensive, and I've been trying to be good about it. We also had friends over for a murder mystery night, and we did pay for all of that groceries, so that also went into here. So some entertaining goes in here. I'm not super strict about what goes in here, just whatever we kind of spend on food for like making food at home, and all of our household goods, paper items, our shampoo and conditioner and stuff like that. Gas, we actually went way under. We only spent $162. So I work from home, and my husband works from the office at least 4 days a week. And so we don't drive that much. And everything that we drive to is usually within a 30-minute driving distance of us. So we don't have to spend that much money on gas. This also includes having to pay some garage parking fees. But I'm still really excited that we were able to stay under that budget. Because I was worried at the beginning of the month that might not be enough, because with my new car, it has a bigger tank, and so each time we fill up, it is more expensive than in my sedan. And then for giving, we are Christians and we believe in giving to charitable causes and our church. And so I just blocked that out for privacy purposes. For therapy, my husband goes to a therapist once a month, and that was actually lowered to $15 for each session. Gyms and subs, this one is not accurate yet. I know that we're probably going to spend all of this because I don't think our Spotify bill has come out yet. So we need to write that down. And we have another bill that I think maybe needs to go out here. So this will probably be zeroed out by the end of this month. So we're probably going to go a little bit over on budget, but that's okay. For my spending, I didn't spend that much this month on myself, but I always try to have money set aside for my husband and I to each spend on our guilt-free spending that is just for us. And the reason why is because next month I'm going to go and get my hair done, and the salon is really expensive, but I only go like twice a year, so I feel like I can justify that because I only go twice a year, and I'm getting the whole thing. I'm getting my hair recolored, I'm getting a haircut, so that's pretty expensive, so I wanted to save my money for that. My husband's expenses went over this month, but that's because he went for a weekend away and spent time with his friends. And so I was okay with that because I wanted him to have fun with his friends and just spend time with them and not worry about the money and stuff, and just enjoy getting to hang out with his friends that he only gets to see maybe once or twice a year in person. For our guilt-free spending, we're actually under here as well. And this is for our joint guilt-free spending. So this is whenever we go out to eat. This is if we buy things for other people or we go shopping and that kind of stuff. That goes into our guilt-free spending category. So I really like to see that it was lower because this is kind of like my baseline that I want to spend on guilt-free spending for this year, about $500. We're not exactly trying to do a low spend year. This year, my goal is to put a lot of money towards our savings account because I want to save up in our house fund. We want to move in the next 2 to 3 years, so I want to really get on top of that and start saving aggressively for a down payment, for our moving fund, and if we need to make any upgrades to this house before we sell it. So that's why I'm trying to keep our variable expenses lower this year. We did have to pay for some bigger things. So my husband is an electrical engineer, and to become a certified engineer, you have to take what's known as a professional engineer exam, and it's a pretty expensive exam. We had to pay $400 out of pocket for it. However, I think if he passes it, his company will reimburse us for that. So we're really hopeful that when he takes this exam, he'll pass it, and then we will get reimbursed from his company for him taking this exam and getting his professional engineering seal. And lastly, our other category, we had a lot of other categories to account for. So one is that my new car, I had to pay the property taxes on that, and that was over $200. And then we also had to pay our escrow shortage, like I mentioned, and that was over $200 as well. So that was a pretty big hit to our expenses. And I just put it in the other category because I didn't write it down because I knew that we were going to have less money, but I was hoping that we'd have enough money to cover it. And thankfully we did. But I was just like, I don't want to account for this in my budget. I know that we're probably going to have enough money, but I just wanted to be on the safer side, I guess. And so that's why we have that much overage in it. All right, now let's go to the exciting section of our budget, which is my saving and sinking funds. So I have some long-term savings in here, such as my emergency fund, my health and wellness fund, and our house fund are our longer-term savings. And then we have our sinking funds, which are the shorter-term goals that we're working towards. I have a whole video about how we do our sinking funds, so make sure to check that out if you're new to sinking funds. We use Ally Savings, and they have a good bucket feature that allows you to break this down into different buckets within one savings account. And I just like to keep the running total here, but my Ally account also keeps the running total for me. So it's super nice because whenever I transfer money over into savings, I can say which bucket I want that money to go into specifically. And so it does all the math for me, which is really great. But I also am a person who likes to keep things pretty organized over here. So I like to keep it on my own budget spreadsheet. So for our emergency fund, our goal here is to put $4,000 away to get us to a $15,000 emergency fund. And so that is what we're working towards. And I did the math on that, and we need to save about $335. We were able to do that. With our gift fund, we actually upped it. Last year, we just did $120, but we were feeling a little bit stretched with that because our gift fund was to cover mainly Christmas expenses, but we've also started to cover other expenses like wedding gifts for our friends and other gifts. Like I went to a baby shower last week. So we have lots of different gifts that we have to pay throughout the year. And so we've upped that to account for those as well. So we're putting $145 aside each month for that. Car maintenance, I put $200. We don't put as much in there. This is our car insurance that we pay every 6 months. That's our premium that we pay every 6 months, as well as any maintenance that we need to do on our cars. So that's why I put $200 away, even though our overall car insurance is pretty reasonable for 6-month policy. Also, my husband got a speeding ticket last year, and so next month we will have to pay the legal fees for the lawyer. So I put aside a little bit extra this month so that we can make sure we have enough money to cover that legal fee when it comes up. Next, we have our health and wellness. My goal here is because both my husband and I have a high deductible healthcare plan and we don't want to spend our HSA money until we get to retirement, we are setting aside money into our health and wellness fund that will be enough to cover both of our deductibles. And because our deductibles are pretty high, that has to be quite a bit of money, but I'm hoping that this will help us in the long run because we can invest our HSA dollars and let them grow tax-free until retirement, or if we use them for qualified medical expenses. So that's our goal here. In vacations, we did have to take some money out of vacations. As you see in the spent from sinking funds section, we paid for a beach vacation that we're going to be doing with my husband's family in June. And so we had to go and pay for the Verbo, and that was our upfront cost for that. We'll have to pay more in May. So I'm saving up money for paying for that in May. And his family is also paying a portion of it. But because I'm the one who put it on my credit card, I have to make sure that I can cover that bill at the end of the month. Next, we have our annual sub fees. So these are any fees that we pay annually. We did actually get rid of our Amazon Prime, which I am really excited about. I think that that will help us to be more conscientious about spending our money locally. And honestly, like, I'm not super happy with big tech, and I just don't want to put my money towards things that I don't agree with. You know, we're working on it. And so the big move this time was that we canceled our Amazon Prime subscription. And so we're not paying for that. But our other sub fees that we have in here is my husband and I, we really like to watch anime. So we have a Crunchyroll subscription. We also have HBO Max, and also our credit card fees are in here. So we have two credit cards that have annual fees, and one of them is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is a pretty high fee each year, but it comes with a lot of great travel benefits, and we make sure to use up all those travel benefits every year to get our money's worth out of this. Next is our house fund. As I said earlier, we are definitely trying to save up in this so that we can move in the next 2 to 3 years. And so we're putting aside $1,000 each month towards that. And we have a pretty robust one. I think we're going to spend some of this in the coming months because we need to widen our driveway. Next, we have our fun fund. This is just putting aside money for if we want to have any bigger things. So if we're going to concerts or things like that, I decided to start doing a sinking fund for that. What I'm doing is actually just only putting rollover money into the fun fund. So if we have any extra money from January, we'll put that into our fun fund in February, but I don't think we will. But last month in December, we had $100 that we were able to roll over into our fun fund. Right now, our big fun fund goal is we're going to New York in May, so we want to use this to pay for Broadway tickets. We have taxes. So even though my husband and I both have W-2 jobs where our taxes get taken out from our employers, we also are setting aside a little bit extra money into our taxes because last year we had a pretty big tax bill because of some stock that we sold and things like that and making some capital gains. And so I just wanted to make sure that we set aside a little bit extra money for our taxes. So in April, we don't have like a crazy big shock when we get that tax bill. And I started doing our taxes preliminarily last night, and I don't have all the forms yet, but I got a good amount of it done. And so now I know about how much we need to save until April to get to our amount that we need to pay for our taxes. So that's just a little bit of a tip for you all. If you are someone who does their taxes themselves, look into doing it early so you can see if you need to owe anything. And if you owe anything, then you can save up until April 15th to pay those off. So I think this is almost enough for how much our tax bill is going to be, but we also have some more long-term capital gains that I think we're going to have to pay this year. So I'm waiting till I get all of my tax forms back until I make a final decision on that. I will update you guys on how much that is as we get closer to getting all those tax forms in and we know how much we need to pay the government. And lastly is our Mexico fund. Right now, the only thing that's going into this is the interest that we are accruing on our high yield savings account. So that's really exciting because we started this Mexico singing fund about 6 months ago, and now we already have $644 in it. And so that's really exciting. The next two sections I'm going to breeze by pretty quickly because these, I just automate them and I don't really think about them. So whenever I spend out of them, I know exactly how much I'm going to spend towards them. But first is our investment account. We are maxing out both my husband and my Roth IRA. And so to do that, we set aside $584 each month for both of them. So that will get us to $7,000 by the end of the year. I know some people like to just do a lump sum of $7,000. I prefer to do dollar cost averaging just so I can continue to make sure that I'm investing each month into the market. Next, we have our joint brokerage account. This is just our standard after-tax brokerage account. And my goal here is to put $10,000 into this brokerage account. And so with that, I said, okay, $834 each month. And again, all of these are automated, so I don't even think about it. I've just set it up so that this money goes in there and I don't even have to worry about what I'm going to buy or anything like that. I just set it and forget it and buy into ETFs. Next, we have our debt summary. So this is where we spent a little bit over what we planned, but that's totally okay. If you see these remaining, this is actually the remaining balances after we pay off this. And I need to actually update this. This is $7,052.67. And so this is the remaining balance after we make our payments. So my husband has 3 outstanding student loans left. And so we are doing the avalanche method. So we're paying off student loan number 2 first because it has the highest interest rate. And so overall, we're sending $1,000 to his student loans. And my car loan has a minimum of $269. I was able to set aside $200 extra this month. So that brings us to $7,052 for that. So that means we are almost under the $7,000 mark for my car, and I really want to pay that off this year. Let's go to my February budget. So because it's February and I know how much money we are going to make, I was able to be a little bit more specific about our income, but I did say a little bit less for my husband's income because I realized that he needed to correct his W-4, which means that he'll probably have a little bit more withheld from his account. So I just did an online calculator to kind of see how much that could be, and that's the number we're going with. I don't want to over budget for that, but that's okay. We are still at a zero-based budget at the end of the day if you look at our cash flow summary. So bills are the same as last month. Except for our mortgage went up to $1,084.58. So now let's move on to our expenses. This month we're budgeting $590 for groceries. That's just because groceries have gone up. We also have a monthly subscription to Blue Land for our laundry tabs and our dishwasher tabs. I really like them. I think that if you can look into a sustainable product like that, definitely do. It costs a little bit more than buying the liquid detergent, but it's better for the planet and there's less plastic packaging, and I think that they work pretty well. And we have a front load washer, and I'm still able to use the laundry tabs pretty easily. I've figured out a system that makes them work, and so that is going to be charged this month. So I'm also accounting for paying for that. Gas and transportation I brought down to $170 since we didn't spend the whole $200 from last month. This one, therapy, we went up because we started to go see a couples counselor, and we saw her each week in January. I just took how much she charges per session and multiplied that by the number of sessions that we had in January, and then I also added in my husband's monthly therapy session, and so that's where I got that number from. Hopefully my insurance will cover some of it, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm just budgeting it in so we can make sure that we pay for that. Therapy is really important to me. I think that everyone can benefit from talking to someone about their feelings and working through strategies to help them be healthier. Next, we have our gyms and subs, which aren't changing. These are just the monthly ones. We also have gym memberships to Planet Fitness, and my husband does martial arts, so we pay for that. For my spending, like I said, it gone up because I'm going to the salon, and the salon is kind of expensive, but that's $365. Then my husband's spending, I actually bumped his up a little bit, $160. And our guilt-free spending is about the same as it was last month, around $500. And then I did put a buffer in our other category just so we have any small expenses coming up. Our savings and sinking funds, I keep it the same from month to month. So as you'll see, these are not really changing our budgeted amounts. And that's because I just take how much money we want at the end of the year and then divide that by how many months in the year. And that gives me how much I budget each month. And then our investment section, again, we are setting aside money into our Roth IRAs to max those out. So same amount as last month, same amount in our joint brokerage, $834. We like to keep it simple here. I just do the same amount every month for everything so that I don't have to worry about it. And lastly, our debts. Again, these are the same. The only thing is that I have budgeted to put a little bit extra towards my car loan this month. Not that much more, but I will probably have more money to put in this because I am going to be getting some RSUs from my company. And so I usually sell my RSUs right away. And I will put a lot of that money that I make from those RSUs towards my car loan. But for right now, out of our budget that we have set, setting aside an extra $31 to pay towards my car loan. So not a lot of money, but it's a little bit. Every little bit counts. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. I know that this was a long video, but I hope this helps you to see how I budget as a monthly budgeter who does zero-based budgeting. It's a really easy system to follow. And I've been doing this budget now for over a year and a half. So I've kind of got it fine-tuned down to exactly how much I know that I'm going to be spending each month. But that is what I have for you all today. If you made it to this end of the video, please comment down below, how do you budget? Are you a monthly budgeter? Do you budget by your paycheck? Let me know. I am so excited to hear from you all. And please make sure to like this video and subscribe. That really helps out my channel. I really appreciate you all being here, and I will see you all in another video. Bye, y'all.